Hi, this is Rapier Rapier, and this is R Squared Energy TV. I'm back after a couple of weeks hiatus, traveling on the road on business, and hopefully get back to normal here over the next couple of weeks and start recording these on a more regular basis. So this week I have two questions, and they are both having to do with gasoline prices. One is about ethanol and the relationship with gasoline prices, and the other is about the impact of the Chevron refinery fire on gasoline prices. So first question. Ethanol has been fingered in the news recently as a driver in the behind the rising gasoline prices. How much truth is there to this? So the issue is ethanol prices, because of the drought in the Midwest and the corn shortage, have gone up pretty significantly over the past couple of months. Gasoline prices also are sharply higher in the past couple of months. And there have been a few articles that have pointed the finger at ethanol over the rise in gasoline prices. So the EIA actually addressed this in This Week in Petroleum, and they took a look and they said, based on the fact that 10% of the gasoline, or there's 10% ethanol in gasoline, and ethanol prices have gone up by 60 cents, we would expect to see about a 6-cent per gallon increase if the price was passed through, if the price increase was passed through. They went on to conclude that there's no evidence that that had happened, that in fact it's true that costs would have gone up for gasoline refiners and gasoline blenders by 6 cents a gallon, but that may not have passed through. Now I'm not sure what they base that on, but either the costs were passed through or refiners are eating, they're eating into the refiners' profits, one way or the other. So there's definitely an impact, but it's a smaller impact than the overall rise in oil prices. So oil prices have risen pretty sharply. Gasoline prices had fallen about 60 cents a gallon from April to about the 1st of July, and they've turned around, and they are not yet back up to the April high, which was just about $4, but they are headed that direction. Now, I expect that oil prices will moderate somewhat, and I think that gas prices will peak again and start to slide going toward the election and toward the fall. That's what generally happens. Demand goes down, especially after August, and we see prices start to slide, and I expect that to happen. So, the short answer is ethanol has a contribution. It's not the major contribution, but it is one of the things that's helping drive up gasoline prices. Next question. How does the Chevron refinery outage in California affect U.S. gasoline prices? So there was a fire at a refinery at Chevron last week, and that refinery, or maybe the week before last, and that refinery is expected to be down a while. It was a pretty major fire. And that refinery was responsible for, I think, 12 or 15% of refining capacity on the West Coast. Now, the West Coast is a distinct market from the rest of the U.S. because they have their own boutique gasoline blending specifications, so they have their own boutique fuels there. So gasoline can't easily flow into the region from neighboring states. If there was a problem in, say, Ohio, there's all the states around Ohio could funnel gasoline into that state. But California is special. They have very strict gasoline blending requirements, and therefore they are going to have to eat that. And some of the West Coast states share, I think Washington and Oregon have similar specifications to California. So those West Coast states and somewhat Hawaii will probably be impacted more so than the rest of the country. Now, underlying all that is the rise in oil prices in general. So some people have blamed the California refinery outage on rising gasoline prices in general. It shouldn't have much to do with that other than maybe psychological impact, because that gasoline from California is not fungible, is not convertible with gasoline in most of the rest of the United States. They're just going to have to deal with that shortage, and so the price spike. I haven't checked, but if I had to guess, the price spike on the West Coast will be significantly higher than the price spikes that we've seen across the rest of the country based on the rise in oil prices. So California itself should not have a major impact on the on the rising gas price in the rest of the country. That's more a function of simply rising oil prices. It just happened coincidentally about the time that refinery fire happened. But the limited ability of other states to produce that California gasoline is going to impact them substantially more than anyone else, and I think they will struggle with high gasoline prices now for well into the fall, because that refinery is expected to be down maybe 6 months. So it's going to be a while that their supplies are going to be somewhat limited. Given enough time, some refineries can make gasoline and get it into California, but it's not fast, and it's not a cheap option. It's not cheap for them to get that gasoline in there. Some gasoline exporters like Singapore can put gasoline into California market too, but again, that's not something they can respond quickly to, and it could create shortages in other markets that those refineries service. So that's this week's episode. Please tune in next week. I hope to have another episode up then, and if you have any questions, be sure and send them in. Thank you.